Hey, how's it going? It's Jim, and today we're gonna walk over here on my driveway where I have parked the scooter I'm gonna be checking out today. I'm passing a nice rosemary bush and my kind of cheat sheet of utensils, and we are looking at the 08. So this is a scooter I got from RevRides, who is the North American distributor for Zero. I know sometimes you can buy from I think it's what is it, Falcon ENV carries a lot of the Zero scooters, but Nathan up in at RevRides up in the Pacific Northwest is going to be the North American distributor for them. And the great part about that is he's really reachable, and there's kind of that customer service touch that's missing from a lot of scooter manufacturers, and particularly the ones that are coming from out of the country. RevRides did allow me to purchase this scooter at a discount, and then I can return the scooter or what have you when I'm done with the review. So without further ado, let's come take a look at it. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to set the camera down and I'm going to fold it and unfold it so you can see how that goes. Okay, so there it is folded. With the scooter you get a nice brochure that actually has the full line of Zero scooters, but RevRide supplies you with the controller settings, and I'll talk about this again as I'm going into the display, but this is a really nice touch, and it also comes with a batch of business cards and stuff for RevRides, and they do some other companies. You can do like a referral, and you can get some credit back towards scooters or maybe even your purchase price. So I'm going to fold it back up, then I'll grab the camera back. So it's pretty simple. You just push down on this red lever. There's two positions, kind of like this position, which I'm not entirely certain what that's for, and then the upright position. Just push it until it locks, and the integrated kickstand, which I'll show you in a minute, and then you just flip up the handlebars. So I want to just show you this because I think this is one of the things that really stands apart with the Zero scooters for me. So a lot of scooters have this collar style of handlebar, where it's just it's a little bit hard to do one-handed, I guess. Kind of a spring-loaded situation here. But then the thing that RevRides does, not RevRides, but Zero, that I'm really surprised more scooter manufacturers don't do, is then it's a threaded connection. So you go from this to, you can tell that's solid. I have observed while riding that these do tend to back off slightly, but that does not seem to affect stability, and it's pretty easy to just give them a little tighten up as you go along. Alright, so the meat of the scooter here. We have a 500 watt rear direct drive motor with an integrated drum brake. So it's the drum brake seems to be really, really responsive, and it engages. I'll talk that a little bit more, but it engages the electronic brake when you first apply the brake handle, and then you can lock up this rear tire no problem. So the rear tire is a 8-inch, about slightly under, solid tire. Come across the deck here. And the front tire is a 8.5-inch pneumatic tire. So that increases the ride comfort a little bit. This is the first scooter I've actually tested with a air tire, and I really like it, but I haven't had a flat, so I might like it less after I've had a flat. Just a little look around the deck here. So the battery in here is it's a 48. It's in the deck here. It's a 48 volt 10.4 amp hour battery, so that gives you almost 500 watt hours of capacity. So RevRides, I'll post on the video what their website says on range. What is it? Let me see. I've done a couple range tests before this video, and I'll go into them more detail in a second video, but I've gotten in the neighborhood of 20 miles of range at a high speed, averaging pretty high speed. See, it's got full suspension, and I think you can tell here. Let me try to get so I'm not getting in the sun. But the red accents are quite nice. They really set off the look of the scooter, and I think they really add. Some of the pictures online show just black accents, and I think the red is really definitely a welcome upgrade. Or maybe that's the way they all come, but I like the red accents. So the deck is 18 inches long by 7 inches wide, which is pretty wide. And I'm just going to try to give you a visual here on, I wear a size 10 shoe. And this can kind of give you a visual on what it's going to be like. And this does have enough width, in my opinion, that you can actually ride with your feet together. And I've done that successfully, and it's kind of nice to be able to change up foot positions, especially if you start pushing the range on the scooter, or start pushing your trip to the distance that it can go. Again, another red accent. This is the release lever. You just pull it back. I've tightened this up a little bit. There was a tiny bit of play in the stem, and I tightened that up. So it's a little bit harder to release now than it would be normally. Like I said, it's the 8.5 inch front tire, air front tire. There is front suspension here, a minimum amount of travel, but it does a good job of taking the major road. I mean, it makes for a pretty soft ride. Kind of look on the scooter that way, and you can see it's beefy looking. All right, so some of the other specs on the scooter. So when it's folded up, it's 37 inches long. And the deck is the width is the same when it's folded or unfolded from the deck's perspective. So it's 37 inches long by 15 inches high, which were the instrument cluster. When it's up like this, it is 40 inches long. And then the 35 inches is kind of the minimum handlebar height. And then you get, I'm going to come up to the handlebars here. Reposition the scooter so it's not in the sun too much. So the handlebars are nice and wide, and 23.5 inches wide. And I know it's a concern for a lot of people. So this is the turn to turn. I measured it at 60 degrees of rotation turn to turn. So some people really like that from a safety perspective. One of the things I would probably like to see improved on the scooter is even though they're ergonomic slip-on grips, they do feel a little small. I don't have the largest hands in the world, and they're pushing it for me. And they feel a little on the cheap side, honestly, considering the rest of the scooter feels so nice. The handlebar locking mechanism here, there's no presets on this. So you got their minimum height on the handlebar is 28.5 inches down to the deck. And then when you raise this up all the way, it comes up to 39 inches from the deck. And this would be taller than I would want. I'd probably be, I'm 5'10", and I'd probably be somewhere in that vicinity. The other thing I wanted to mention while talking about the deck is that the deck height is 7 inches off the ground, and they have 4.5 inches of clearance here. So that the negative about that is that it's very difficult to kick with a deck height much over 5 inches in my experience. Just to know. So I'm going to flip the scooter around so we can look at the other side without getting some glare. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to show a little bit more on the handlebars. So I'm going to turn the display on. As you can see, it's a nice color display. On this side of the handlebar, you have the brake with the integrate the cutoff motor inhibitor, and also it senses and applies the electronic brake, pardon me, which I'll be able to show when I'm doing the ride test. And I'm hoping you can see it in this video. If not, I'll include one. So you hold down the mode button, that gets you the lights coming on, and if you hit the brake, the tail lights flash. I'm coming around here to the headlight. You can see it kind of has a triple headlight, so lighting is definitely a strong suit of this scooter. So coming back to the display, you turn it on with you turn the headlights on by holding the off and on by holding the mode button. Pardon, it's a little bit windy out today, so hopefully that's not too bad for you. You hit the mode button to change, and it says gear, but that's actually speed limitation. So gear 1 is about 12 miles per hour. I have already changed this to miles per hour from kilometers per hour, which you can do. And then gear 3 is up to, so 2 is about to 20, and 3 is about to 24 in my experience. Is that what it kind of comes out to? And you can see here on the display, it says start non-zero. So that means you have to kick it to start. You can turn it off to start from a dead stop, but I don't tend to do that. You hit power again to go through the trip, and some of the features here. This has the voltage and the current odometer, lifetime odometer, on which looks like I've ridden it 66 miles. You can turn cruise control off and on, and what I've noticed, there's a little indicator once you get into cruise control. Hopefully I can show that on the ride test, but then there'll be an indicator that comes on here, which is really nice. So to get into the menu, see if I can do it with one hand here. I was able to. So just some of the things you go through, like that's backlight brightness, there's speed limitations, cruise control. I mean, you can see there's a lot of settings in here, and some of them are unused, but the brochure that RevRides gives you really helps with this, because one of the best things with this scooter, in my opinion, is the degree of customization this controller allows you, because you can set like how much of the battery is basically being used, so you can set kind of an acceleration potential. Maybe that's not the right word, for 0 to 100%. You can also change the degree of electronic braking, how hard it's braking, and how fast it's accelerating. So there's a lot of customizability in the scooter in the display, which I really like. All right, flipped it around here. As you can see, it's got a nicely integrated kickstand. It does lean over quite a bit. I wouldn't mind if the kickstand was longer. I haven't figured out if it might be able to adjust that. I haven't actually looked at it too much. Here's a close-up of the charging port is here on the front. It's a threaded charging port. It comes with a 2 amp standard charger. Weighs 1.2 pounds. Nothing too exciting there. You can see the power comes in here. It's a nice clean look, and you can see there the stamping on the motor back there, 500 watt. So you know, it's got a lot of yeah, it's just a good looking scooter, and I like the way the fender is. And one thing I wanted to point out here is you can probably tell, I'll go from the front tire to the rear tire. The one thing you can tell between these front tires, one, they're different size, half-inch difference, but the tread pattern is significantly different. I've noticed that I think it affects handling a little bit, and not necessarily negatively. It's just because this has a kind of a more gentle bead, you have to kind of force it over into corners, which I don't think is bad really, but it's just something to know. It does affect the handling slightly. So I'm looking at my little cheat sheet to see if there's anything I missed on the specs. Oh, the weight. So the scooter weighs 38.3 pounds. It's heavy. I mean, you can probably look just by looking at it. It looks heavy and beefy. And you know, the height of it. So it's a little bit, it's portable, yes, but I wouldn't want to carry it very long. It doesn't really have a great way to transport it other than picking it up and carrying it. And this down tube has a significant diameter, so I think it's a great scooter if you're just lifting it up and putting it in a trunk. But if you're having to carry it significant distances, I think you want to know about that weight. Let's see, I'm looking at my cheat sheet again. I think I got most of the dimensions I wanted to catch. And then I'm going to put down in the comment or description of this video the full set of specs, just so you know them and what I've taken myself, including weight and what have you. So I'm going to do a little range test, throw on my helmet, and then I'll wrap it up after the range test. Alright, I'm back. I got my brain bucket on and I'm ready to do a ride test. I'm going to be capturing camera from a couple different angles and including some GPS footage. So hopefully that helps out and we'll be able to get a good idea how it is like to ride. So I'll do a little ride and we'll have a little conclusion. So this one's directed to back wheel, so hopefully you'll catch some noise from that. And I'll turn it around just to get some idea of what's going on. So we're going to start out here, and this is going to be in gear 1, which is really speed limitation 1. That's actually from the mechanism tightening up the rear brake. I'm going to go ahead and start one here. Like a little motor goes. So we're topping out here at about 12-13 miles an hour. So I'm going to hit low to get to the next speed, and you'll kind of feel it, the bump. Now we're about 18, another bump. So hopefully you can hear that electronic braking gauge. And I'm going to leave this camera in this position and do that again. I'm going to just tap the brake so you can hear that engage, and then I'm going to tap it from basically top speed and let you hear how well this stops, and I'll tell you when I'm doing that. Okay, here's the takeoff. Full throttle. Excuse me, noise. Electronic brake. There was probably a lot of wind noise there, and sorry about that. Can't really control it too much. I'm going to point it to the front here. One thing hopefully you'll be able to notice is that I mean, acceleration isn't extreme. I have it turned up to basically the highest acceleration mode, but it's still very adequate. But once you, like my son and my lady friend rode it, if you kind of toggle through those modes and the speed limitations, it feels like a turbo boost, and you can't help but smile once you hit that final mode. One note is the speedometer is pretty optimistic, so I clocked it at more around 20, 21, and maybe the video will show this. So it's not going quite as fast as the speedometer shows, but hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that right now. So one thing, the scooter really lends itself to being able to be, you can't really kick off or kick to go. It is comfortably being thrown around. Pitch control must be larger tires, it's really stable at speed. The speed level 2. As I get up here, I'm going to get into this grass a little bit. Oh boy, that's a little muddy and slippery. So it's a holiday here today, so that's why I'm... You can see it. The scooter likes to be tossed around with just that solid rear tire. Really kind of manhandling. It's still pretty nimble. You see right here on the handling. So it's a little muddy out, so I'm not going to be able to get a lot of good off-road shots here, but I'm going to try to go a little bit and then jump off this curb from the camera on the scooter perspective and then with it off. One thing you have to be a little bit careful with on these rear-wheel drive scooters is if you're, like, I don't know if you were able to tell on that little jump I did, if you pop the front tire while giving an acceleration, it kind of wants to do a little bit of a wheelie mechanism, mechanism action, so you kind of have to be a little careful with how much throttle you're giving it if you decide to pop the tire up. So I'm going to do a little, couple moves around the, and hopefully you can see the suspension work, and I'll bounce in front of here to show the suspension as well. One thing I like about the 08 is even though it's heavy, like what I said, 38.3 pounds, you can kind of throw it around, and I'm going to do a little, hopefully I don't take out my camera in the process, but I'm going to try to do a little, because with that different tread on the rear tire that's solid, it doesn't have quite as much tread, you can kind of slide the back tire, and it makes it pretty fun. So I'm going to show that. I got a nice little skid mark there. So you might be able to tell I'm having some fun with this scooter. It's the combination of having this much power and speed with the flexibility in the suspension. Even though, I don't know if you saw it when I bounced by, I do bottom out the suspension. All in all, I think this is a fun scooter. It's got a lot of potential, and yeah, I think it's put together pretty nice. So I'm going to go over to my driveway, take off my chesty mount, and wrap this up. Alright, I don't know if I have a whole lot more to add on this, but hopefully the ride gave you a little feel for it. I'll do some more some range testing, and I've already done some acceleration braking testing. And just a spoiler alert, this thing brakes like in half the distance of the other scooters I've reviewed. And this is only, and some of their other models are dual braking, which is one I'll be reviewing coming up. But anyway, one more look at the scooter here. I'll put a link down in the description and a discount code if I can get one. And if you have any questions, comments, let me know. Thanks a lot for watching and riding along with me. Thanks. Bye.
Catch the wave.